Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington. This is part 2 of the Buy, Sell, Hold series with Ed Weskergriff. Find him on YouTube, and let's dive into this. All right, 2019 Tops Series 2, Eloy Jimenez. Pop right now sitting at 46.42, which I talked about earlier, how Vlad, the short print, had a pop that was very similar to other star rookies in the set. Well, yeah, it was like 3,700 versus 4,600. This card's not short printed. Now it's not Vlad, it's Eloy, but it's still a top rookie in the set. And it has been increasing gradually over the last 3 months or so, and now it's sitting at about $90. What do you think, Ed?
For 90, I would definitely take the gamble and probably buy. If I had the card, definitely 100% would not sell for $90, would hold there. But for 90, I think I would be a buyer. I think Eloy's a pretty solid player, has really, really good power, is on an up-and-coming White Sox team. So I would definitely probably buy him for $90. So I think that's a pretty solid buy.
Yeah, I agree with you here. Pop could be a little bit deceiving. It could be rising quite a bit, but not as much as some of the other players that we'll show later. He actually made some pretty big strides in his O swing rate and his O contact rate in 2020. For those of you who don't know what that means, that's his ability to reduce the amount of times he swings at pitches outside the strike zone. And O contact rate would be the amount of times he makes contact with bad pitches outside the strike zone. So we saw some pretty big improvements there. He did hit, I think, like 298, which you probably won't see again until he improves his walk rate and K rate. Right now, he strikes out at least 4 to 5 times more than he walks. Walk rate's around 5%. So the 300 average might not be real, but the 40 home run power is for real, I think. And he's still, like 22, 23 years old. So he's still developing. And, Luis Roberts stealing a lot of attention, but this might be the last year, who knows, where Luis Roberts more expensive. For a while, at least, till Robert figures out the other stuff. So I would agree with you that I'm a buy here. And next up, we got Juan Soto again, 2019 Topps Chrome Sapphire Edition. So this is his rookie cup card, not a true rookie, but his first Sapphire card in a PSA 10. We've got data back. I think it's actually longer than 6 months. This was a card that wasn't really that widely regarded at all. Started out at about $215 in July. And then it is topped out around $1,400. Now it's sitting at about $1,025. What do you think about this one, Ed?
This one kind of makes me sick, Phil. I tried buying this card, I would say around this time last year, and it was up there for 300, and I kept, kind of just not being aggressive enough, just sending offers for 200, and kept getting rejected. Then these cards dried up, and it kind of exploded. So now it's up to 1,025. This is Soto's first Sapphire card. So like you said, while not a rookie card, it is his first Sapphire card since Juan Soto never had a 2018 Sapphire. So for 1,025, believe it or not, if I had the dough, if I had the stimulus check come rolling in, I'd be buying this card because it's Juan Soto. I think he's going to be a fantastic player in the league. I'm really surprised that the pop is only 100. I thought it would be kind of higher on this card. So that tells me that maybe PSA still has many more of these to grade, but it is Soto's first Sapphire. I like this card. I like Soto as a player, and I feel it's a good buy. So I would buy it.
Yeah, so I think we've agreed quite a lot so far, Ed, and this is no exception because I also agree with you. And one of those Sapphires that's stuck at PSA is actually mine. I like to believe that I got probably one of the last good deals on at least a raw copy of Soto, $100 on ComC in December. And then a few weeks later, you couldn't even find them. And then you saw these ridiculous asking prices, like you said, on eBay. Papa 100 right now, print run. People speculate it to be around 1,000 for 2019 Topps Chrome Sapphire. So there's going to be a lot more sent to PSA for sure, that if they haven't already. I like this card a lot. And not only because it's his first Chrome Sapphire, but I think there's room for his first Chrome Sapphire to hold value because, well, I really like Topps Chrome Sapphire. I'm extremely bullish on all of the sets of Chrome Sapphire, and I think they have more room to grow. in number 2 because Juan Soto didn't really have a whole lot of rookie cards. If you compare him to Ronald Acuna, he wasn't in Series 2, he didn't have a short print in Series 2, complete set card. He didn't have obviously a Sapphire card. He wasn't in like Bowman Chrome as a non-auto, although some people treat his 2017 Bowman Chrome cards and parallels as something of value, so they spend decent money for that. But Juan Soto just doesn't really have a whole lot of rookie cards compared to a lot of the other players because he was called up quite late in, I believe, late May or early June in 2018. So yeah, I'm buying this card too, even at a price that's 5 times what it was 6 or 7 months ago.
And I think the hobby definitely realized that, because on that chart you see come November or at the end of October, that steep incline there. I mean, look at that. The price was stable for so long, and then come at the end of October, whoop, it just went up the steep incline.
Yeah, of course, there's a risk. If something increases that fast, there's a risk for it to fall and flatten out before it establishes higher highs. So we'll see. Because the pop is lower than what it will be a year from now for sure. Next up, 2020 Top Series 1 and number 78, Boba Shet. Pop on this one is growing quickly, 46.43. We've got data back 3 months on this one, and you could have gotten it for about $70 after the season last year, after the injury of Bichette. And now, well, it peaked around 130. Now it's back to $80 actually right now. What do you think about this one, Ed?
This card's kind of all over the place. We've talked about it before going live about this, the 2020 Topps Boba Shet. PSA is very tough on this card if you send it in for grading. I've seen way more 9s than I have seen 10s. I don't know what the 9 to 10 ratio is in the PSA database, but I'm willing to wager that it's almost 50-50. Now, for $80 for the PSA 10, I thought they might have been a little higher, honestly. I thought they might have been in the 100 range. But if the price is 80, I'm a buyer on this card for the reason that, 1, it's difficult to get a 10 on this card. 2, if I sent this card in for grading now, it would cost me $25 and would sit at the PSA facility for a year. And 3, I really do like Boba Shet. He's a young player on an up-and-coming potentially offensive juggernaut team like the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays offense is totally stacked. Now, Boba Shet was doing good last year. I like what I saw from him on the field, but then he got injured. He was putting the ball in play at a good clip, getting on base a lot. So I do like what I've seen from him. Like to see a little more power, but I just want him to stay healthy in 2021. So for $80, definitely buying. If I have this car in the 10, you got to do not sell it for $80. Hold the line. And yeah, if I'm going to look on eBay after this and see if I can find one for 80, because I would buy that.
Yeah, it was probably an auction. Yeah, I mean, like you, I thought they were in the low hundreds, and I checked at $80. It's a buy for me, but it's one where, you have to be cognizant of that quick. It was a product that came out a year ago, and there's a lot that have been submitted probably in the window of 4 to 6 months after that product came out, which was a year ago in February. So that PSA pop's going to be spiking for sure. I'd be surprised if it wasn't at least 10,000 by the end of this year. Now, Boba Shet is a lot of people's favorite guy to break out this year. You have to be a little realistic in that a lot of his attributes, they don't exactly mirror somebody like Tatis. His sprint speed is, compared to the rest of the league, it's not phenomenal. His average exit velocity is pretty good, but it's not phenomenal. So for somebody like Boba Shet to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, a lot of things would have to go right with him. So for that reason, I'm probably buying him at $80 in a PSA 10, but if it was at 110, I'd be a little bit more wary for sure. And he's also a guy, he's only played in 75 major league games. It seems like, maybe a full season cobbling together the second half of 2019, the shortened season of 2020, but 75 major league games. So we have a sample size where if you extrapolate that across a full season, sure, it's pretty good. A lot of doubles, a lot of home runs, probably mid 30s home runs, 16 steals, something like that. Pretty good average. So we'll see. I think he's going to be a very good player. I just don't know if he's going to be exceptional. Next up is 2018 Topps update. Shohei Ohtani, finally healthy. This is his US1 PSA 10 card from Topps update, and we're seeing it now up to about $83. Going back about 3 months, you could have gotten this for close to 45, but he's shown some flashes of brilliance, at least from the pitching perspective. I think he also maybe hit a home run in the spring. What do you think about Ohtani?
Ohtani. Every year we hear he's healthy, and then he plays, and then he gets hurt. For $83, I'm not buying. If I had the card, I would hold. Maybe lean towards sell. I don't want to sound like Ohtani was a big deal in the hobby in 2018. He was the guy that drove the product, that drove Topps update, that everyone wanted to get. Like this card you're seeing on the screen, like last year, it was a really hot card. It was selling for a good amount. But Ohtani is a very talented player. He has great offensive skills. I think he needs to try to maybe focus more on the offensive side and maybe go away from the pitching, because I know last year he had so many troubles on the mound. But I just want to see him play a full season, completely healthy, get his 300 at-bats, playing maybe 140 games before I make a purchase decision on him. But that's probably just me.
Yeah, well, I'm holding a lot of Ohtani cards, and I've started to sell a lot of the raw copies, actually. I have several of these, at least 5 of these listed on eBay, I believe, at a price of 120 by now. So my stance is holding till it gets at least to above 100, 110. If that is to happen, you're kind of banking on him staying healthy a bit, but is that really asking a whole lot? You're not asking him to be healthy the whole season, but I am looking to try to cash out of my Ohtani position. So like you, kind of holding here. Probably wouldn't be buying at these prices, unfortunately. Like you said, I mean, we've been through this before. Same old story. All the hype surrounding Ohtani. Unlike you, I think he probably carries more value if he does both, hit and pitch, and he does both at a high level. I think what's more realistic is for him to be like a top 5 starting pitcher, or top 5 to 10, at least over a period of like 6 weeks, and also be like a top 30 hitter in the game at the same time. And I think that's when you'll see a really good selling opportunity with Ohtani, and be able to cash out. And it kind of reminds me of like an Aaron Judge or Pete Alonso. Those players, and maybe it's easier to say this about Judge or like somebody like Stanton, who has a longer track record of doing this, but you see the flashes of brilliance, and then you see them not being hobby relevant because of an injury. With Stanton, it's maybe that, or because of just inconsistency. So I kind of compare them together, even though Ohtani's a different type of player, and he's younger, but also he's not that young. Okay. So he's turning 27 this year. So like buying him would not be a long-term play regardless, I don't think, but it would be like in hopes of expecting some sort of period of prolonged dominance, 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know, maybe even longer. Next up is going to be Shane Bieber, 2018 Bowman Chrome autograph. This is his first autograph in a Bowman product. He was also in 2016 Bowman Draft. This is the one people kind of treat as the first, even though it's not the first. And this is in a PSA 10. And as you see, after his he kind of broke out in 2019, but after his Cy Young season began, people really went crazy in the hobby, and his prices have settled in at about $290.
Yeah, it almost got on a rocket ship there in July of 2020. Went straight up. I'm definitely I shouldn't say definitely, because pitchers you got to proceed with caution when it comes to pitchers, especially young pitchers. But I'm a buy on Bieber. I really like his stuff. I've had him the last 2 years in fantasy baseball. I just like his approach to pitching. He just straight up dominates. It kind of sucks that last year in the playoffs, I mean, he had an incredible season last year. It was Cy Young Award season, but then when the playoffs came, he got kind of hit around. That was his worst start of the year last year. So I'll be curious to see how he bounces back from that last out. And I think he'll have a good year this year. I don't think he'll be the Cy Young Award winner, but I think he'll have a very solid year. His 290, it might go down a little because the hobby's really fickle when it comes to pitchers. They don't like to commit to pitchers until they've had maybe like 5, 6, 7 seasons under their belt. I mean, we're finally seeing price rises for Kershaw and Scherzer, and they've been in the league for a really long time. So I imagine Bieber's price is the 290. It might go down a little. So it kind of might be a little overvalued right now. But I would buy him because long term I do like Shane Bieber.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. It's like not a high conviction buy recommendation, but it's a low conviction buy low conviction buy recommendation. And 14.2 K per nine in 2020, backed by a 17.1% swinging strike rate, 0.87 whip. His fastball velocity was up at least 1 mile per hour last year. He also added a slider. So last year he had 5+ pitches that he threw at least 8% of the time each. The hard contact percentage that he gave up dropped from 43% the year before, which was kind of the knock on him, was that he gets hit hard when he does get hit. Dropped from 43% to 27% based on Fangraphs metrics there. So a lot of people consider the young crop of talented pitchers to be a group of 3 right now, and you could factor in other guys like Chris Paddock, but a lot of people consider that to be Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty, and Shane Bieber. But Shane Bieber is the only one that's thrown at least 200 innings in a season. And innings are very important because in today's game, it's changed. Pitchers, just like Walker Buehler, Jack Flaherty, they kind of get coddled a bit with like kid gloves from their manager. They want to preserve them for the long term. You especially see this with Walker Buehler, where they're afraid to really stretch them out, which is unfortunate. But that hurts their ability to put up counting stats, their ability to compete for Cy Youngs, their ability to have the highest possible WAR that they could have. But it doesn't seem like Shane Bieber has that those limitations. So in this year, Vegas actually has him tied, which I know we talked about this, Ed, as the favorite, the co-favorite with Garrett Cole to win Cy Young at the age of 25. So I think I made my case that Shane Bieber is probably a buy, and Flaherty and Buehler are cheaper right now, but they probably deserve to be. Next up, Kyle Tucker, 2019 Series 1, PSA 10. Pop is just 421 on this one. Prices started out really not a whole lot of volume with a low pop. And this is an example of, sure, the set was from 2019 and people have had ample time to submit these for grading. But Kyle Tucker wasn't somebody that people expected to even start, never mind break out in 2020. So when that happened, I think people started to rush and get those off to PSA. So we'll probably see that maybe 5x this year. I don't even know. But still, you can get those for about $58 today. What do you think about Kyle Tucker, Ed?
$58, that's not bad. I would probably buy Kyle Tucker if I had the card I would hold. You know, you were mentioning he kind of came out of nowhere, and everyone was focusing. Everyone had the Yordan Alvarez tunnel vision for the Astros. Everyone was focused on him. But Kyle Tucker, he did pretty damn good. He has been doing pretty good. And I'm actually surprised with how young he is. I believe he's only 24 years old. So I thought he was a little older. And the fact that he's younger, I think I'm leaning more towards a buy here at 58.
Yeah, I think he's a decent buy. Here, like I said, population is both your friend and your enemy for when that increases to levels that are far greater than where they are today. But in 2020, I mean, thankfully, I wouldn't say thankfully, because I do own a lot of Yordan Alvarez, but he was able to get some playing time because Yordan Alvarez went out with that injury. And Kyle Tucker showed that he can hit left-handed pitchers, which is big for a young left-handed hitter in the game. So he should be a mainstay in that lineup going forward. I was looking at, I bought a few Kyle Tuckers before the season started, and I was like, okay, well, Brantley's a free agent, Reddick's a free agent, Springer's a free agent. And then, of course, Yordan Alvarez might not ever play in the outfield again. So that's like Kyle Tucker's outfield now, it seems. The downside of this is that Kyle Tucker is in a place where technically he should be or he might be overshadowed by some other great talented offensive players in that lineup. Altuve, sure, he's not in his prime anymore, but he's still a very good player, I feel. Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman's still 27, I believe, 26, 27 in the prime of his career. So Kyle Tucker was the offensive leader last year for that team, but will it change this year when we get better seasons for some of those other guys? Who knows? But Kyle Tucker, he has a profile going back to his minor league years. Like, this is a guy that could actually go 30-30. That'd be pretty cool for the hobby. Of course, he needs those home runs to be sexy, but 30-30, not a lot of guys do that anymore. He's also a guy that could maintain a pretty decent batting average. He kind of has a slap style, kind of like Christian Yelich. His walk rates haven't been that great in the major leagues, but in the minor leagues, they certainly were a lot higher. So I'm a buy there. Next up, Cody Bellinger. This is Topps Heritage Action Card and PSA 10, pretty low pop of 190. This is selling at $240 right now. What do you think about this one, Ed?
Wow, $240. I'm sell if I had this card. I'd rather, if I want a Cody Bellinger rookie card, I'd rather have the Chrome update or his regular Topps Chrome. The Heritage Action 240. Gotta admit, I'm not overly familiar with this card, but if I had it in a Gem Mint 10, I would probably sell.
So I look at this and I see this was selling for about 210 to about $350. This is before his very disappointing year he had last year, coming off an MVP campaign in 2019. And I see how the price is today, 240. It's not like significantly different than where it was earlier in the year before, again, is his lackluster 2020. But I don't think that tells a full story because the market size has increased. So just based on that, prices should go up, all else equal. I look at the Pop 190. I really like that. I think that Heritage Action cards are undervalued as a whole. My problem is that I have a bias against Cody Bellinger, so I just can't buy his stuff right now. I don't like his swing; it's too long. I think he acknowledged that his slump towards the end of 2019, even though he still won the MVP, he wasn't nearly as productive in the second half. There was a gap in his swing, so he tried to address that. He changed his swing last year, and even though the strikeouts, which tend to be a real crutch for Bellinger, even though the strikeouts weren't really there, he still had sub 20%. He was pretty good in the playoffs. I don't know what to expect from Bellinger going forward. And maybe that's wrong of me to say because he's still just 25 and it's hard to write him off after what he's done. It's just that, like, you look at a player like Bryce Harper. I think Bryce Harper has been better in 2 of the last 3 seasons than Bellinger. And maybe that's not a fair argument because in the years where Bellinger has been better, he's been better by a lot. All right, next up, and this is our last player, Christian Yelich. This is a BGS 9.5 autograph 10. Now, the true gems are going to sell more than the min gems, but this is for all of the gems regardless. And this is selling for about $745 right now for Christian Yelich. Pop 72. What do you think about this one, Ed?
Wow, look at that chart. That is a lot of data there from 2012 all the way to 2020. And look at the waves. We get onto the rocket, then it goes all the way down, then it goes all the way back up again. Now we're going back down.
You look at that first spike, and that's when he won his first MVP. People didn't really respect him that much. They're like, it was probably a fluke. Then after he almost wins his second, then it just goes crazy, and it stays there.
So 745, that seems, I mean, I'm sure that's compared to other Bowman Chrome rookies for position players and a person of Yelich's stature, that's probably a fair market price. I personally wouldn't be a buyer, especially I'm not the biggest fan of Peckett, so I wouldn't be buying at 745. If I had the card, I would probably hold because, as you can see by the chart, it's going down, and I think this is a big year for Yelich. So I think he's going to come in and he should have a good season, but this is going to be a really big year for him because he did not have a good season last year. And, the hobby is a lot of, especially in modern, what have you done for me lately? So if I had the card, I hold, but I wouldn't be buying.
Yeah, so Christian Yelich was absolutely dreadful last year, and it's tough to kind of cherry pick like, well, this one I'm going to dismiss because it supports my case, and this one, helps my argument, so I'm going to factor in these numbers. So I don't know what to make of that, but some people are forgetting now that Christian Yelich was basically the best offensive player in his league for 2 years in a row. He almost won the MVP 2 years in a row there. Currently 29 years old, so he's no longer a spring chicken, but he does have a career 34.4 Fangraphs WAR, which is pretty damn good. Not quite Mookie Betts good, but it's not that far off. I could see a bounce back here. I mean, he put up such gaudy numbers in, was it 2019, 40 plus home runs and like 30 steals and like a 300 plus average, and he still missed like 3 or 4 weeks, and he was able to put up those counting stats. So I don't know if we'll see those numbers again, but I'm seeing a bounce back here. Most importantly, though, and you alluded to this, Ed, compared to other Bowman Chrome autographs, this one I actually think is pretty low. If you're to look at Mookie Betts right now, he's selling for like $3,000, I think. And sure, he probably deserves to sell for that relative to where Trout sells for, but I think Yelich is a bit undervalued right now. I think he's probably cheaper than Francisco Lindor. Maybe he should be closer to Lindor. Maybe he should be a little bit more expensive Lindor. Maybe not Francisco Lindor that's now on the Mets and might get locked up to a long-term deal. But it's an interesting thought, I think. So I'd be buying Yelich at this one. All right, and that is it for part 2 of the Buy, Sell, Hold series with my friend Wesker Griff, Ed Wesker Griff. Find him on YouTube and OG. And hopefully you guys liked what you saw. Like, comment, and subscribe. Filmington out.